Hey guys, welcome back to Black Mountain Painting. Today we're going to talk about something very, very exciting. We're going to talk about paint. A lot of people kind of don't know what they're getting into when they're painting. Painting's pretty straightforward process, but what they don't know is what kind of prep and what kind of paint to use on their specific projects. And by using the wrong paint, your project could end up being a disaster. So today we're going to talk about some of the common paints that you might use on a DIY project. With painting, anything can really be DIY as long as you're prepping right and you're buying the right materials. If you get in over your head, lately we've had a lot of calls where we've come to half-done projects and they're just like, we don't know what's going on, and a lot of times, I would say 8 times out of 10, they're using the wrong product for what they're trying to do. So today we're going to talk about some of the stuff we use and where to look and see what it's good for. So this is an older can, but it's a Benmore Multipurpose Primer. People see multipurpose, excuse me. People see multipurpose primer and think, oh, we can put it on anything. That's not true. So when we go back to the label, it's going to tell you that you can put it on a lot of different things, but metal probably isn't one of them. So we've had, and I say that because we just went to a job where they use this and they tried to put it on metal. This is really good stain blocking as well. So if you're covering up water spots, anything like that, you want to spend a little bit more on the multi-purpose or a Kills brand primer, and make sure that it says right here, like read the whole label. Quick drying time, that's good because then you can get right into your paint. Splatter resistant, so you're not, it's easy to clean. So if you got it on there and then someone comes through and hits it with something, you can usually wipe it up, clean it pretty good. And then mildew resistant coating, that's important as well. That's something you want to look for in a primer. And then good stain blocking. You want, this is actually really good with stain blocking, we've used it, but Kills and stuff is even better. So like I would use this on like a plywood, any kind of drywall. I wouldn't, it says you can use it on aluminum. I don't know if I would use this. I would use the sticks, and we'll look at that as well, but and kind of go over that. And then what it'll tell you on the back too is your coverage. So it says 350 to 450 square feet of coverage. Now, that's if you're brush and rolling it. If you're spraying it, you're gonna get a little bit less, probably 275 to 300. And I would always aim low, that 350, because you always want the mils. You'll hear painters talk about mils, and that's how thick the paint is. So you always want your mils to build up, and especially with like if you're covering a stain or something like that, you want a thicker mill of that. So look at anywhere between that 350 to 325 range per square foot. So if you had a 10 by 10 foot wall, that's 100 square feet, you would only need about half of this to prime that wall, because especially if there's a stain on it, you probably want to do 2 coats. Normally what you're going to see in new construction is 1 coat of drywall primer, and what that does is, it's not for adhesion. The paint's going to adhere to that drywall no problem. It's so that drywall sucks up that primer, and then you get a nice consistent coat of paint. So if you're building a house, your painter or you should do at least 1 coat of primer, 2 coats of top coat. Make sure that's what your painters are doing if you're building, especially if you're doing like a level 5, where it's a lot of skim coat and stuff. But if you're just doing like a knockdown or something, primer is actually super important. But watch your drywall guys, because sometimes your drywall guys will prime, then texture. Then you still want to prime again on top of that texture, so you end up with that even spot. You might end up with the texture being a little bit shinier if you don't prime after they texture. So that's your primer. That's kind of what to look for. And it says right on here, like 2 coats provided in maximum sealing and stain suppression. Another really good reason to watch these labels is because a lot of these offer warranties. If you have a warranty issue and you don't do it exactly like the label says you should, they won't cover it. So read your labels, make sure that it's a good solid paint. So like, I'm just being honest with you guys. This says 400 to 450 per gallon. You're not gonna get that out of this paint. You're gonna get 350 if you brush and roll, and then you're probably gonna get that 300 to 275 if you spray it. So that's kind of the magic number. If you use that 300 number, 250 to 300, you'll never run out of paint. You'll have a little bit extra for touch-ups, but you're not gonna have a ton of extra. So make sure you're using that number, not this number, because that number is kind of a little bit off. But application, it'll tell you what temperature it needs to be. It says right there, oh boy. So it says right there, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. This is an interior paint, so that probably isn't a problem keeping your house at 50 degrees, but really, really important for exterior products to know what temperature you can put it on. And make sure you know if it's a water-based product or an oil-based product. Oil bases, usually you can go down a little bit in temperature. You can hit those 40-degree nights and be okay. Water-based, you don't want anything below 50 degrees even at night. So what I hear a lot of is they'll paint a house and they'll be like, oh, it's not a big deal because it'll be dry before it freezes. That's not true at all either, because it takes like a week to cure. It takes a couple days to cure, so it'll actually have cure time on here. So it gives you dry time. But if you just look at the dry time, so if you're a DIY guy and you're looking at the dry time, 1 hour to touch. Okay, I can recoat in 1 hour, yes, but that doesn't mean the paint is completely dry. So recoat after 2 hours, but realistically, painted surfaces can be washed 2 weeks. So I mean, this isn't fully cured for 2 weeks. So if you think about going to the outside, and we'll go over some outside products as well, you gotta make sure that cure time is like all the way through before you hit a freeze or hit anything like that, because halfway through the cure, if it freezes, it's gonna stop, and that's where you're gonna have faulty paint. That's where you're gonna have the chip paint. We actually, garage doors are huge for that because they're a metal door, and it takes that cold on really bad. So you'll have a 50-degree day, but that door will be out of the sun, so the door's sitting at 45. You can grab the paint and literally peel the whole thing off, and it's just one big thing of paint. So definitely pay attention to this. And now we're gonna look at a DTM. So DTM, if you hear DTM, that means direct to metal. This is made to go on metal paint, metal products. Adhesion is really good, and they have a special primer for it. That's why I said if you want to use the all-purpose, absolutely, it's probably going to stick to aluminum. You'll be fine. But any other kind of metal or anything, get the DTM primer, direct to metal primer, then use this as a top coat. Now what we're going to do is we've kind of beat a dead horse. Read the back, make sure everything's good. Like it'll tell you what kind of metal, galvanized aluminum, how to do it. So you sand, so this is still good for wood. You can use it on wood. And then how you clean up. That's a big one. If it says warm soapy water, you have a water-based product. So you don't want to be using that in 50 degrees. Even if they say, hey, acts like oil, does this like oil. Make sure you just look. If it says warm soapy water to clean up, it is a water-based product, and you have to really pay attention to the temperature. Now we're gonna go look at this, okay? So the top will tell you a lot of things. So first, it'll tell you where you bought it, Spearfish Building Supply. It'll tell you when you bought it. So I bought it in 09/15/2025. All right, and it's gonna tell you my color. So this is Ice Cube. It's a Sherwin-Williams, and it gives you the number, and then it's a Sherwin-Williams match. So, and it tells you what series it's from. So this is every paint machine. If you go and get your paint from like Walmart, Menards, and they do have some decent brands, especially for DIY people. I prefer getting my paint, Benmore, Sherwin-Williams, actually people that just deal with paint. They'll have this label and it'll tell you all of it. Both labels are the exact same. And then it tells you this, hold on to these labels. Or take a picture and make sure it is. Because what this tells the person that's putting the colorant and stuff in is the exact colorant they need to put in to get this color. Because what happens is you might be, so Ice Cube, 5 years down the road, Sherwin-Williams might tweak Ice Cube because they're using just a little bit different material, and they got material, especially during COVID, we ran into it, where they both had to figure out how to get material not from China, but make it in the United States or get it from a different source. So the colors variated a little bit. So if they choose to do that and the color is just off a little bit, you can't go down and get colors from your local hardware store and make it so it's like that. You're gonna have to get a match. And if your house is 5 years old, the paint's gonna be a little bit different. It's gonna be really hard to match, and you're probably not gonna get a good one. You're gonna end up with splotchy paint, and it's gonna look like polka dots all over your walls. So this is really important to keep a hold of. It tells you exactly what product, when the product was, because if you have a good paint guy, they'll know, okay, that product was this, and we need to put this in it. I'm very lucky with the paint guys I have. They can actually tell me, hey, these guys, we're not using this product anymore. We changed it, we changed the line, and we got to do this to make this color make sense. So Ben Moore just changed Ben just a couple of years ago. Ran into it a lot because we painted a lot of houses with Ben, and then when we had to go back and do touch-ups, they weren't making that same Ben anymore, so we had to redo all of our colors so we can get paint matches for that specific line. But yes, that's kind of what I would do as far as label goes, and now we'll go and look at some of the exterior stuff. So I'm gonna put this up, and I'm gonna put this up on the lovely ladder, and looking at it, because when you're a seasoned vet like myself, there's certain things that you're gonna look for right away. If I go into I'm going into the store and I say, hey, I need a low luster paint, which is more of a satin paint, not as glossy, I know immediately red. So all these are gonna be different, and that's something I didn't cover on the interior stuff. When you get that, it's really simple. If you're going to Menards and getting your stuff, I actually had this happen just 2 months ago. One of my guys that wanted us to paint something said, I absolutely need Dutch Boy. I need Dutch Boy. I gotta have it. So I was like, okay, yeah, I guess we'll use Dutch Boy. And so I use it, and I was looking at it, and Dutch Boy, all the paints do this. Like, it's color coded by the sheen. So every sheen has their own color. Dutch Boy, I noticed that he grabbed the wrong sheen. Just by the color that he grabbed, I was able to correct it. Something that you guys can pay attention to when you guys are looking at the paints. So make sure when you guys are looking at paints, a lot of those are just white or clear. Those are just your base paints, so they'll grab them off the shelf, then they'll put the coloring in them. Not a lot of pre-colors except for white and black. And black just kind of recently. And you don't want that black anyway. That's not the deepest black you can get. So if you're looking for something that's like really, really deep black, you're gonna want to basically talk to your paint guy and be like, hey, put 40 shots of black in this thing. Let's make it look almost 2D. So we really get the effect, especially if you're doing like a ceiling or any kind of accent wall. It really adds to the room. With a really deep black, if you're not gonna go that. I just wouldn't use the pre-done black. It's just not, I mean, it's black, but it's not as black as you can get it. But yeah, so like just looking at this real quick, and it's a base 1. So this means that base 1 means it's gonna be a light color. So when they go and grab it and you got a new guy behind the paint counter and he goes and grabs a base 4, you can be like, whoa, 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 man. Like, I want an off-white, you're grabbing a base 4, that's for a darker color. So your bases, make sure you know your bases. Base 1, lighter color, goes 1, 2, 3, 4. This is your darker colors. These will be your blacks, your gray, your dark grays, you like your wrought iron, stuff like that. They use base for Benjamin Moore, Sherwin-Williams, I think they use base, and then they use a little bit different lingo, but I mean, it's pretty much the same. Lower number, lighter color, higher number, darker color. Same thing up here. We're gonna look at here, save these. Take a picture, put it in your home binder. This is gonna be your outside color, okay? So when somebody asks, painter goes, what color is that? And you're going, I have no idea. You have it. Our easy thing to do is have them print off 2 of these stickers. It's a pain in the butt for them, but they can do it. So ask them nicely and they will do it for you. Or what I've learned is, instead of putting it on the top, have them put it on the side. So what happens is this paint's sitting, it's not usable, but you need the information off of this. What this does is this sits and wears and wears and wears, and as dust settles on it, it actually eats that ink off of there. So then all of a sudden you're looking at a blank piece of paper, and I'll show you what I mean. But same thing. See what I mean? It just kind of disappears over time. So then I'm going, it kind of looks like a white, but then it bumped into another paint can, so I have this color, but this is pretty dark, it's a 1X. That's what I meant. So interiors are your 1Xs, your exteriors are your bases. Yeah, I knew it would click again. So your 1X all the way to 4X, same thing as base, look for that number, lower number, lighter paint. But yeah, and then, so this will probably get thrown away when we do our inventory next week. On Monday and Tuesday, and then it's Christmas, so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. But yeah, so have them put it on the side. If they put it on the side, it lasts almost forever. You don't have the wear and tear, especially if like you stack buckets on top, it moves, and this slowly just wears off over time. But I have noticed on the side, I've never had one wear off. That's a lot for a sticker. A lot of information for just a sticker. But same thing, it gives you your color, your number. So like this one's really easy. This is a Valspar paint color. We moved it into Element Guard, which is a Benjamin Moore product. Dark Ivy gives you the color number, the reference number. It was mixed on 5/22/25, and it gives you everything that you need. So your yellow, your whites, your blacks. This is more realistic. 300 to 400. It's still kind of high in my opinion. I would say exterior, you're looking at that 250 range. You don't want to be chintzy with your exterior paint. Your exterior paint is what protects everything. It's like your armor to siding to be, let's be honest, not great. You know, siding's only as good as what's on it, you know? So if you have really good paint on it, your siding's gonna be that much better. That's why Diamond Coat and those guys are better than some of the other siding companies, because they use a better paint. They use better protectant, better quality, absolutely. So I would definitely do 250. So same thing, you have a 10 by 10 wall, 100 gallons. How much paint would you use? Leave your answer down in the comments. If you said half a gallon, you would be wrong. It would basically be a full gallon because you have 2 coats. Fooled you. Yes, I did. So brush and roll. Again, if you're gonna spray it on, always back brush, work it in, and you'll probably be looking at the 225 range, okay? Still the same thing, but make sure with exterior paint, make sure it's gonna adhere to what you're doing. So interior's a little bit different. You can get by because interior, if you have a mess up and you put paint that isn't necessarily like that primer, it's good for aluminum because aluminum usually doesn't go outside. They're thinking interior stuff, you're not gonna get the rain, you're not gonna get the weather, the wear and tear. This stuff, absolutely make sure. It says right here on it. It's kind of hidden on the interior stuff, but exterior, it's pretty black and white here for wood, hardboard, vinyl, and aluminum siding shingles. I would still use a primer. If you are going to metal, I would use a primer or a DTM product. Anything that says direct to metal, I would use that. But then it'll tell you how to do it. It'll say priming, surface prep. It gives you step-by-step instructions on this back thing. So instead of wasting, I think I have a how to paint an exterior of a house. It takes me 40 minutes to explain to you guys how to paint a house instead of having to endure that video, which is actually a really good video. You can read this quick and just go to town. Like, It'll tell you how to applicate, like, you know, stir well before that. So my rule is if we shake it the same day, we don't have to stir it. If we have it mixed the night before, we stir it, okay? If you open a paint can, say you're getting like, you're doing a new construction house, you're building your own house, you're taking on the painting, because it's a great way to save money from what I've heard. I can be honest with you, it's not. But you're doing that. So you have 45-gallon buckets and you're sitting there, you open a 5-gallon and you just see colorant sitting in the middle. Go take it back to the paint shop. Do not try to stir that. Take it back to the paint shop, have them shake it. If it's shaken, then you can stir it, but if it hasn't been shaken, don't try to stir it to make it the color consistent. You have to shake it, and unless you have a shaker at home, just take it back. They'll be happy to shake it. If it's really far and you're like hours from your paint shop and you made a special trip, go get a drywall. If you have a drywall shaker, that works, and then basically you're gonna have to shake it for 20 minutes with a drill. But you can't mix it well enough with a stick if the colorant's sitting in the middle. Go get it shaken. This is a green, so it is a dark green, so it is a 4X, and then we have just your dry times for exterior. So I really want to go over these. 1 hour to touch, but can be recoated after 4 hours. Okay, so that's very, very important, guys. So it's called alligatoring. You're gonna see that more in interior stuff because you're a painter or you rush the process. I'm telling you guys, go up and you guys can see it for yourselves. If you don't believe me, get a little piece of wall, and it's actually, don't do this because it'll mess up your wall because it actually brings the drywall and everything. But you're gonna paint it and you're not gonna let it dry, and then you're gonna paint it again. And what happens is that paint doesn't have full time to dry, so it's not actually adhered. Then you put another layer of paint on top of that paint's gonna dry first because it dries from the outside in, okay? So now your paint's basically too thick, and now it's not drying and not adhering. So, and I know this because it happened to me, and when I first started, and it was absolutely the most terrifying thing in the world because I thought I really messed something up, and I kind of did, but luckily it worked out. Same thing with prep. If you sand in an area, wipe it down because the dust will do the same thing. It won't let the paint adhere. But I painted a ceiling. I was in a hurry because it was actually towards Christmas about 5 years ago. Painted a ceiling. I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of wet spot here, a little bit of wet spot there, but for the majority it's dry. Painted it again. Everything's going good. We are working late. We're trying to get this house done for these guys for Christmas. All of a sudden I hear something fall on the ground, like just crash on the ground, and I was like, oh crap, what was that? Somebody broke something, wasn't over there. The ceiling was literally falling because the paint didn't adhere. Like, it was not a good situation. Luckily the drywall guy came, fixed it. We painted it right that time, and Christmas was saved. So basically I'm like Santa Claus and saved Christmas. Definitely listen to this. 4 hours. You don't really want to rush it. You could probably, if it's a warm, nice day, no humidity, you could probably get away with 3. Just follow the can though. I'm telling you, just follow the can. Another extra hour is not going to hurt you. Another thing that you want to look at is when it's fully cured. Okay, so fully cured on this is, oh, usually it says it right there, but doesn't say. Okay, usually 2 weeks. But what you really want to pay attention to is this stuff. You don't want to use exterior paint on the inside of your house because of this specific stuff right here. It's higher VOCs. You want a low VOC inside your house, low to 0. They make 0 VOC paint. Benjamin Moore, Sherwin-Williams, all those guys make low VOC paints. You want that inside, especially if you got kids or if you want to live long. Definitely use that. Stuff does, like, it's not good for you. It's not good to breathe in, even though it's sitting. I'm not going to say it's like asbestos level, but it's not good for you. So don't bring exterior stuff inside, okay? Clean up. Gotta love it. Use soap and water. So by my other part of the video, if we're using soap and water, it's a water-based product. So you cannot apply this stuff in, let's see here, priming, surface prep, 55 reflective value. That's actually really good. 35 degrees. Use product when surface temperature is above 35 degrees. So what's that tell you about metal? It's got to be a little bit warmer for you to do metal, or the metal has to be in direct sunlight. So a lot of stuff, a lot of information in here, and it goes without being read. You know, use a Benjamin Moore Premier applicator. I can tell you though, if you don't use a Benjamin Moore Premier applicator, which I think they stopped making brushes, they'll still warranty this. So, but you have to follow these directions if you want this limited lifetime warranty that it says on the can. Because if you do not follow the directions, what happens is you say, hey, I painted my house, it's messed up, the paint's not working, they're gonna send a Ben Moore rep out. He's gonna take a little piece of their paint. Then they're gonna go back to their lab and they're gonna do whatever lab people do. And then they're gonna say, you only put one coat on, of course it failed. Or you tried to put a thicker coat on and you didn't let this coat dry, of course it failed. If you follow the directions, they're very good about warranty. I've had 2 houses that have come under warranty. We followed the directions. They paid for the paint. They paid for the labor. It was awesome. Like, so good. Both companies stand behind their warranties, but you have to follow the directions to get the warranty. Okay? And one other quick thing before I sign off on this very exciting video. If the information isn't on here, talk to your paint guy. All of it's in writing. It's called a spec sheet. So all you have to do is go, hey, can I get the spec sheet on Element Guard? And they'll give you like 4 pages of just stuff about paint, what they put in it, how much clay's in it, what the actual VOCs is, what they tested for, recoat time in this humidity, recoat time in this humidity. Like, there's so much information on those spec sheets, it's almost nauseating that they don't hand them out with the paint. They should hand them out with the paint, because I'm weird and I like to read that kind of stuff. So DIY stuff, get the paint you need, read the back of the label, read the front of the label. This label goes on the side for longer periods of time. And if you want the warranty, follow the directions. And that's about it for, that's as much information I can give you about paint. If you like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section. We try to get to every question right away, but if we don't get to it right away, we will get to it, you know, within a day or so, and hopefully that's soon enough, and we're not holding up your DIY project. We'll be happy to answer any questions, and